have road kills.
Oh yeah, I can run over.
Yeah, Patrick, come here.
Yeah. Of course they do damage when they slam into each other and things like that. The Rhino...
Plus 20 XP? Did you get XP for that?
Did I?
I got a pop of it. Okay. Plus 20 XP.
The Rhinos and everything have multiple hitboxes, so you can do more damage than that. We're taking a look at whether we want to not. But the intention of these things... Oh, we have feedback on our mic.
Yeah, it's too loud.
Okay. Should we push it away, or is it coming into that?
No,
it's maybe from the last
It's not the mic, it's the game. They're saying that the shooting in the game is too loud.
Oh. Sorry, guys.
Is it any better now?
Here I'm shooting and talking at the same time.
Yeah.
Is the in-game shooting still too loud? Someone I saw in chat asked, is this an arena shooter like Counter-Strike, or is it an open world game? This is a massively multiplayer online game. It's completely open world where you can drive across entire continents of multiple kilometers in length and width. Yeah, sound is better. Good. Good. Yeah.
You can jump in it, yeah. Yes, it's intended as a sandbox style MMO. So you will have an entire continent and be able to go anywhere on it as long as someone doesn't kill you.
Is multi-crewing working? Saitowski, I am currently controlling the Stormbolter on top, and Brent is currently in the drivers.
Yep, the intention is to have it be a social experience. So it's not like you spawn a predator and then you just go and you destroy people. You get a bunch of people together, and then you're sort of this boat of death going across the land, blowing everybody apart. So I can hop into the sponsons right now. You'll note that we're using a first-person view for the sponsons. It's very difficult to find a good third-person view.
And do we have friendly fire on our vehicle?
Oh, of course. Yeah, there's full friendly fire. However, there will be friendly fire consequences naturally. But it's difficult to have a proper warfare-style game without a friendly fire system.
Yeah.
Now, there are some edge cases that we're going to be evaluating, of course, free characters, etc. But that's something we'll be working with as time goes on. Hey!
Get him! Come on, Bolter. Slam into him. You can actually see, I think we took damage from slamming into Patrick.
Oh, actually, you're an assault, right?
I am.
You want to toss a crack grenade at him?
Ooh, yeah, I do.
Oh, yes, do that. Yeah.
How do I get to there? It is crack grenade. And what is it?
F. Make sure you hit him. It'll stick to him.
Okay. Here I go.
It's on there somewhere on the side. He totally.
What? No, I'll go get another one. I'm gonna actually come over here to an ammo crate.
Oh yeah, I'll go catch up with him.
While we're doing this,
where'd you go? Oh, you'll note we have suspension on the vehicles and things like that. Yeah. So obviously there's some tuning to do, but the treads and things do it. It's got a box.
It's not just a metal.
It's also a crack beam.
Yeah. You don't need to do that.
You missed!
One missed completely through
How
it.
did it miss?
You were too close.
I'll do it later. I'll do it. Oh, yeah.
No, you don't.
Brent has been squashed by...
I ran myself over. I'm sorry, guys.
Brent,
I swear I played
this
this
is
game
my
before.
chaos.
While we're waiting for you to respawn, we have another question from the forums. Gordle Gut Smash asks, considering the lore of the different factions, to what degree will the vehicles will reflect their peculiarity?
Oh yeah, so the vehicles in particular, yes, are going to be related to faction. Of course, the Eldar don't take anything to the field that's tracked or with wheels. They're riding around on jet bikes. They have grav, things like that. So we're and of course the Orc vehicles need to take into account their peculiarities. Like longtime Orc fans familiar with the ramshackle rule, that will be a factor. So yeah, I mean, what you would expect from their vehicles, like we'll be having sort of similar roles of vehicles, but they'll take on the unique properties that you would expect from that.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
A very popular question that we can address very quickly is when do we expect to be able to show some Eldar gameplay?
Yep. So there's some work being done right now to get the Eldar and Orcs into the game properly, where we'll be able to run around with them. And then As soon as we can show you guys something that we think is representative of their experience, then we'll be working. Let's see. In the next couple, end of summer or something
before
like
the
that.
end of the year for certain.
David can give you more information, but we are all very eager to have the orcs and the Eldar in the game, and I just saw the Eldar getting executed earlier, which of course for you Eldar, I know that's probably not the most exciting part, but it means that they are being integrated into an actual
I want to see the
gameplay.
executions.
Yes, exactly.
Let me see if I can pull a question from Twitter here. Oh, here's a cool one. Marianne Rusu at Comic Book Guy 13 asks, will we be able to dual wield like 2 power swords or a combination of a bolt pistol and a plasma pistol? So actually, you can see some of that here right now, Marianne, where Grant is both chainsaw and pistol. Tell us a little bit about what kind of loadout changes you'll be able to make for your assault.
The first things we're putting in are the stances that are like pistol and melee, and then we're also going to be working on some two-handed stuff like executioner's glaives, thunder hammers, etc. The dual stuff is super cool, and we're going to be getting to that when we get to it, but we're doing the more sort of iconic stuff first, and then we'll be doing things that are more like dual pistols, dual melee weapons.
Do you think I would be able to spawn with a chainsaw or a plasma pistol, for example?
Well, yeah. That's yes. You can definitely spawn with a chainsaw and a plasma pistol. Pistol and melee together is sort of a big thing for this game. Like everybody is expected to use some melee and some ranged. It's just a question of the percentage and direction. But the game is totally focused on that. On the mouse, by default, of course, you'll be able to adjust your controls. The left mouse button is always shooting, and the right mouse button is always some sort of melee attack, so that you can properly engage in that instantly when it happens. And on the gamepad, we're using the triggers for melee, or the triggers for range, so left trigger aim, right trigger shoot, and the LB and RB for melee, so left button guard, right button.
Oh, I just saw a good one from I4TV. Question: will Dark Angel troops get rogues?
Yeah, I mean, we're working on some cloth elements and stuff. I think we could probably get David or Gisela at some point to answer those sorts of questions. Yeah. I mean, they have to look like Dark Angels, or we will not. We will not be respecting the IP.
Catan Overlord from the Founders Lounge asks, we just did that one. When do you expect to see Orc Eldar gameplay? By the end of the summer, early fall, certainly before the end of the year. It's something we're actually... We're starting animations for the Eldar right now, and once we have that looking good enough that we think we can show them apps. Wobbly, actually, this is a great lineup with what we're demonstrating right now.
Okay.
Is there any form of soft block or aim assist on melee attack? If I swing my chainsaw, will I hit everything in the area, or will I have to be locked to a single target?
I'll show you. Oh, very nice. That's the battle cry. It's its own button. It's D-pad up on the gamepad, and I think Q for now on the keyboard, just so that you can at any time hit one button and show your support for or against the Emperor. All right. Oh, I need a U-Lord auto. An auto aim system for getting close to your, like approaching your target. So you'll notice that when I get close, there's an indicator. Of course, we'll work on that indicator. No, he was demonstrating what the melee is. So you'll notice that this, as soon as you see that marker, you can attack them. The attack itself is actually, the attack itself Sorry.
Yep. Okay. I was just seeing a little bit of that in chat. Will there be better bolter sound?
How is it now?
I saw someone ask, will there be better bolter sound? As we mentioned at the very start of this stream, everything you see here is work in progress. We are not even at an alpha state yet, we're pre-alpha. So bolt sounds, chainsword sounds, battle cries, animations, character models, environment, all of it is going to look and feel and sound much better than you see right now. And this is actually, it's already much improved over what we've shown in the past. So I hope you guys can see. Always we are evolving with what we're going to be delivering at the film.
Things like in a game production, things like the sounds of the guns that are so important that they're the sort of things you expect to keep working on basically up until launch. Because there's always something where you submit it and you put it in the game and you're like, that sounds pretty good, but you don't know until you've had a little distance from it and you hear it again. And so it's a constant iterative process.
Yeah. Continuing with our melee conversation, Abonobashi from the forums asked, and I see a couple people asking in the chat, can you tell us more about weapon collision like we saw in the recent IGN video, where like your swords clash off of each
Coming
other?
up to you.
Okay.
Is this just experimentation? Is the plan to happen every time? In what ways are we pushing melee combat to be more interactive experience? 3, 2, 1,
clang. So that's what we're talking about right there, is the two weapons clashed against each other. There are a few games, I won't name many of them, but where you often get the experience of both characters hitting each other and dealing damage at the same time and staggering at the same time, and that just never feels good. So we have a mechanic whereby if the two characters are swinging at the exact same time, depending on the force values of the weapons, they will clang against each other and fall back. Now that's if the two weapons are very close to each other. If it's something like I'm swinging a combat knife and you're swinging a thunderhammer at the same time, of course the thunderhammer is going to win. But the intention there is to not create the scenario where two people damage and stagger each other. Doesn't feel good. Now, there is a slight problem with the timings right now where it can be very common that you end up clanging over and over again, as you saw in the IGN video. And we're going to address that with some of the timings. Like, for example, if you guard an attack and the guy comes in, frequently you will both then want to attack immediately afterwards. So we'll probably put a sort of a tweak on those timings so that, for example, the guarded person gets the advantage, and therefore if they swing, they're not going to clang but get through before the other person does. So it's the sort of thing that we need to address as we iterate on that.
Two interesting questions. Cloudister asks, can Space Marines have a helmetless option?
Yes, of course.
Excellent. And Art Reaper actually asked a question for me. He asks, will terrain be destroyable like in 40K? So what we want, because we're a persistent game. We're a persistent game, and the challenge with that is that it's hard to tell when terrain gets built if you can destroy it. It's also a big technical problem. So, like when you look at this environment, what you see here will not be destroyable, but there will be elements to all of our outposts and fortresses that you can bring your heavy weaponry to attack and destroy it, to either open up new passages, or maybe you can collapse something and block off a passage. We're looking at ways to bring sort of destructible environments in a controlled way that lets players feel like it's an interesting choice over what they choose to destroy and what they choose to defend, instead of just having it be everything gets raised to the ground and then you're just fighting over rubble. Let me see if there's another question on Twitter. Someone was asking what we're planning on showing here today. Today's live stream is all about combat and vehicle mechanics.
Yeah.
Do the tanks explode?
We should probably explode the tank.
Show that.
Okay.
I'm coming up with tanks.
Have we shown one character holding block and the other attacking the melee yet? That was a question with Christopher Black at Venus.
Did. I can show it again. What do you got? Oh, he's on fire.
Pull him up.
So, it killed him. Yeah, so what you see when you are in an exploding vehicle is it's on fire and it's about to explode, so you better get out or you die.
And your kills is still there.
Yeah, exactly. And orc vehicles will likely have additional properties when you're in that state.
And someone was asking if Devastators will be able to block and melee, and yes. At the moment, every class has a melee attack and a guardian option. Is that going to be for launch as well?
Yes, although different people are better at it. Like obviously, so there's a guard bomb. And when you guard, it takes damage so that it can come back. And of course, if somebody breaks it, then you're staggered and can't block for a certain amount of time. Some guys are better at that than others, so you can expect Devastators and like Tacticals to not be able to guard as long. They need to do something else to get out of the way, like shoot the person. And most of these weapons that you see right now are, of course, not very good at guarding against bullets. But when we put the storm shields in, that's the sort of thing where you can expect the player to actually be able to do something worthwhile, charging forward with the storm shield in front of them, taking less damage, and something. Or rather, potentially taking no damage, as long as the guard bar stays up.
Plus 100 XP. Hooray!
So he's finishing him off. I will demonstrate one more mechanic. So when you reach 0 hit points, you go down. But if someone rescues you, which I go right now.
Can't believe that. Traitorous duplicitousness. And I'm healed.
Devastator will use a different animation. We're going to be tweaking the Devastator animations in particular. They do a few little things that we call two-team fortressy, make them a little bit more like Devastator. So you notice that you can use low cover and things like that in order to brace yourself. That's recoil.
Yeah. Can Devastators roll like I was?
Devastators have a short hop. We're going to be working on making sure that feels like longer cooldown or things like that. Obviously, you should not be able to hop around like Frogger when somebody's coming after you. You want to suppress me? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. The purpose of a Devastator. Let's take a look. You'll note
there's a little bit. Yeah. You can see how the screen shakes as Patrick shoots near. Right.
Yeah. We need to pump that up significantly. The goal of the suppression mechanic is so that a person can successfully fire back when being suppressed, and that includes being behind cover.
You know what? I actually look like on my screen I'm getting more suppressed than you look like on
Really?
screen.
Okay.
Will there be gender options for Eldar?
Yes.
Yes. We have a great question here from the forums, from the Founders Forum. Algernon Satonix asks, after successfully capturing a supply base, will there be a grace period when the base is uncapturable? And we've decided on an interesting mechanism where bases have a state at which they are not, like, the attackers have effectively taken over the base, but the base does not belong to the attackers yet, and therefore you cannot yet launch an assault from the base on it. So it's not that there's a grace period where it's uncapturable, but there's a grace period where the attackers who just captured the base defend it in order to then later be able to move forward and capturing.
This is our cover system. As you know, it's not sticky cover, it's context like you see in Battlefield or Warcraft, things like that.
Around side. Psykovsky asks, will the spawning system be player-driven? Will players be able to deploy vehicles, command posts, teleport homers, where members of their strike force can spawn?
There's a mobile spawn right over there that I've deployed. This is a basic Rhino, but the intention is that we have both regular Rhino and something more like Damocles that allows you to redeploy that.
Yep.
So
I'm
this
actually respawning there, right? Oh, here right next to that.
Yeah. You can see that I've deployed it, and that's why the thing is moving around. If I get in, I can undeploy at any time and take off.
I'm gonna ride with him. And now I'm controlling the stone bolts on top.
Those are temporary spawn tags. So basically, you go up to them, you spend some of your requisition points, and you create the vehicle, fights, predator.
Ghostface asked a question for me. What about locations in the game? Will there be many memorable places, like ruins, destroyed cities, and destroyed titans? One of the things that my team is very keen on is building Titan pieces, Titan components, and because I think that's going to be a super exciting thing to see. There will absolutely be memorable places like ruins. There are 4 categories of like. The smallest is called an outpost, which is something kind of on the scale of here, where there's only a couple of capturable points, maybe even few as only one, and it's really for like it just controls territory, where it either maintains a defensive position on a road or a choke point or something like that, but it doesn't do a whole lot else for you. You can still spawn there. You might be able to spawn there. Going upwards in size and intensity are our depots. And depots actually provide what's called supply from nearby forts and strongholds. And supply is a resource that causes destruction to repair more quickly. So if you destroy static turrets on a fortress and they'll have supply, then it will be able to repair those. And more ammunition on static turrets. There's a couple of things that supply effect. And then the important locations of interest. Do fortresses have towers attached to them as well? So when you capture certain fortresses, you'll actually strategic powers that your commanders can actually use and act. And then the strongest, like most hard to capture locations in our game that require the biggest effort from action are called strongholds, and they're where you're going to find those 500 versus 500 player battles that were winter. And I'm in the Rhino. And that's where you're going to have to bring like as much heavy armor as possible, use as many tactics from as many classes and squads as possible, call in all sorts of heroes, call in commander powers. Like we want that to be a huge amount of spectacle and trying to take this on. Our mic is breaking up. Sorry about that, guys. Everything looks okay on our side, but we'll see if there's something. Psych2 Wazgrim asks, if you plan to have hard spawn locations, how do you plan on doing spawn and base camp?